Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Eternal Spring. I'm Paul Thurrott, and I am here again with my wife, Stephanie, here in Mexico City. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
So this is kind of an interesting topic for us personally, and I hope for you folks as well. In addition to this YouTube channel, we take a lot of photos when we're here in Mexico City, and you can find those on Instagram. If you didn't know that, we both have accounts that we use for that. And a lot of those photos are related to today's topic, which is how we stay healthy when we're here in Mexico City. There are a lot of pictures of food because we eat out so much here, and that generates some commentary. But we also take a lot of pictures of streets and parks because we walk so much.
Yeah, I would say, if you're traveling for a week or less, I don't think you have to worry too much about what you're eating or how much you're eating. And unless you're, especially dedicated, you're probably not going to think about exercising when you're on a trip, which is totally fine. But we've traveled to Europe a lot over the years, and then we've been coming to Mexico City for the past 2 years. And we've actually noticed consistently that when we get home, we've lost weight. So there's something about the change in our diets or maybe the change in our routines that has a positive effect when we're here.
Right. Yeah, it's been pretty consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephanie doesn't get this kind of feedback, of course, but I do. She's thin, but I will get comments from people on Instagram. How do you eat so much? You must weigh 300 pounds or something like that. And it does bother me, but not for the reasons you would think. I don't think people understand what a healthy diet is in many ways, and what we eat is healthy. We don't overeat. We never snack. I personally only eat 2 meals every day. And some of this has been true for a long time. I've been doing the 2 meal a day thing for many, many months, but some is new to this year. I started what I think of as a healthy, low carb, high fat diet, sort of a keto derivative this past June. I did that under the supervision of a doctor, and I go back every 3 months and get weighed and blood tested and all that kind of stuff to make sure everything's going right. And it's been interesting for a few reasons. I've lost a lot of weight, which has been nice, but it's also changed how both of us approach food here in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say that Mexican food has a deserved reputation for being high in carbs. And even though the food here in Mexico City is quite a bit different from what we have, that we consider Mexican food back at home, tortillas and bread and rice are still huge parts of the diet here. And obviously specific foods like tacos and sandwiches that are called tortas. And like I said earlier, there's not much reason to try to avoid that on a shorter trip. But we come here a lot and we want to eat healthy. And we do. Paul mentioned he skips breakfast. I almost every day will get a jugo verde for breakfast, which is a drink that's made out of vegetables and fruit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, our lunches, which we've talked about, are usually one of 3 things. I would say they're always inexpensive for one thing, but we'll eat at local Cocina Económicas if we can, if they have pollo con mole poblano or mole verde, which is chicken with mole. That meal includes a broth with vegetables in it that I wouldn't normally eat, so that's kind of nice. And then a salad or rice course that I usually skip if it's rice. We go to that Caldos restaurant. Caldos is like a gigantic chicken soup. I get it sin arroz, which is without rice, and I don't eat the tortillas they provide with it as well, obviously. And then the other big lunch is we go to that local sandwich shop that's about 2 blocks up the street, which is fantastic. I am now famous there because I am the American that orders 2 tortas mexicanas sin pan, which is a double order of it's like chopped steak, cheese, and onions with some tomato and avocado on the side, but without the bread, right? So I'm pretty sure I'm the only person that's ever done that, but it's a perfect keto meal if you're into that kind of thing. And it's not a stupid amount of food, even though it's 2. The bread is a big chunk of that meal normally. And all of this stuff is very close to where we live, which is nice, but it's also very healthy, all of it.
Yep. Yeah. And then I would say that while for breakfast and lunch, we kind of tend to have a smaller number of places that we go to. For dinner, we have too many options to go through them all. We mix it up a lot more with dinner. but we make it work at some of our favorite places. We go to a restaurant called La Chicha a lot because we discovered they have really good salads, they have great guacamole, and they have a lot of meat choices. So Paul will get arrachera, which is a skirt steak, or a hamburguesa sin pan y sin papas, which is a burger without the bun and without the potatoes, which of course gets a laugh when he orders it. You know? I don't eat quite as low carb as he does, so I might get tacos or I might just get fish. They have a nice broad menu there, so there's really something that that fits with kind of any diet and any appetite. We also go to a place called La Oliva, and they have tapas. So Paul will get the tapas without the bread, and you can get a nice plate of meat and cheese there. And you know, I'm cutting back on carbs, but I don't avoid them as much as Paul does. So I might get a little bit of bread when we go there.
And I always give her a hard time.
Yes, he does.
No,
I also eat the fruit and the nuts.
Yeah.
We should add too that with dinner, we do drink alcohol. It's different here as well. For one thing, we don't drink as much as we do, or as we might back in the US, because the high altitude here, there's something about it where it just seems like the drinks hit you pretty hard pretty quickly. So you really have to kind of make sure you take it easy.
Yeah. If you like that stuff, you're going to want to watch that the first time you're here. It will hit you hard. I stick to non-sweetened drinks. So I'll drink something based on whiskey or bourbon, like a Manhattan, or a dry red wine for the most part. Right. So these are drinks that have no carbs in the case of the whiskey and bourbon, or low carbs, right? With most wine. Stephanie has a wider range of choices, right? Because she doesn't worry about this so much, but this is not a problem. You know, it's not an issue. And then, you know, back to the food stuff. I mean, dinner specifically, there's some outliers, right? There's some exceptions, right? We have a favorite sushi restaurant up the street. We love this place. So we go once a week, which we don't typically do at home now, right? It's expensive. But I always, or almost always, get rice-free foods, you know, sashimi and oysters and that kind of thing. The people there know me and they know that I'm eating this way. So even if I wanted something like nigiri or a maki, which is like a roll, they'll make it with minimal rice. And I don't actually do that all that often anyway. And we go to a place called Bolero Cafe that we like a lot. You know, we've watched some baseball games there, for example. They have some of the best pizza we've ever had, ever. It's based on sourdough bread, which is fantastic. I did have, you know, they're small. I split one with Stephanie on the last trip, and I did that again on this trip, and I think I'll be done. That's going to do it for this trip. But it's you know, it's a special meal, so it's kind of a little thing you can do as a treat, or I can anyway. And usually, you know, they have different types of olives, cheese and meat and play, hamburgers, things like that. So there's always something. Usually, wherever we go, no matter what it is, these restaurants or anywhere, it's low carb, high fat for me, and you know, it's working. I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah, and it's you know, it's not hard. It's not like you have to make this big effort to go out and, you know, seek these things. I mean, a lot of times they'll put a tray or a little container of tortillas on the table or bread, and you know, sometimes I'll have some and sometimes I don't. And it also kind of gives us this opportunity to have these funny interactions with the wait staff, because you know, it's like we're the only people who have ever asked for no bread or no tortillas. It's like, it's a nice chance for us to practice our Spanish, because when they understand us accurately, they laugh, and then we know we have communicated properly. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, we went to a new place at lunch, and the girl's reaction was hilarious. I very clearly had never heard this before.
No,
she asked us twice. She came back. You said no bread, right? And then with regard to exercising, I mean, look, if you come here, you'll experience this too. We're a lot more active here in some ways than we are when we're at home, because we walk so much. It's a walking city, right? There's no reason why anyone coming here would not have this experience. I mean, you can take Ubers everywhere if you want, but a lot of places are walkable and it's pretty flat, you know. So no matter where you are with health and fitness, assuming you can walk, I guess, you should be able to do this. And that's true no matter what you're eating too, right? You eat what you want, have a good time, you're here for a week, that's fine. Everything, all the places we've talked about, the different areas of the city so far, and the ones we'll talk about in the future, are all like this. They're beautiful, flat walking areas, really nice.
Yep. Yeah, you can walk everywhere. So when we are home, our routine is that we will walk together in the morning for about 40 minutes before we start work. And then Paul does resistance training at the gym 3 to 5 days a week. And I take classes at the gym, a mix of yoga or weight training or kickboxing. And I try to hit about 4 classes a week. But then when we are here, things are a little bit different. We still walk every morning. Our walk here is a little bit closer to 30 minutes. And we don't go to a gym here, but we do walk a lot more throughout the day in addition to the morning walk, because we walk to and from lunch and dinner every day. Sometimes that's close by, but sometimes that's further away. We have a reservation for dinner tonight, and it'll be about a 30-minute walk to and from that restaurant. So that's a big change from home.
That's an hour of walking at altitude. I need to figure out a way to do some form of resistance training when I'm here, which I say every single time I come here. I definitely lose muscle mass not going to the gym for weeks at a time, right? Obviously that happens. I'm not what you would call a self-starter. Stephanie's out doing stuff and I'm not. I know from the pandemic when we were stuck at home, I'm just not going to exercise at home. I'll try sometimes. It just for some reason doesn't come together for me. Stephanie, though, has been making some changes here over the past couple of trips, and maybe you will inspire me.
Maybe. Yeah. So at home I run a little bit. So on the previous trip here, and on this trip I've been running about 3 days a week. So when we walk at the park in the morning, I will stay at the park and try to do 2 more laps running, it's a little bit over a mile, which isn't super far, but it is harder because of the altitude. So that's about as much as I feel comfortable running here at this point. And then on this trip, I also wanted to get in some strength training, because I do feel like, like Paul said, going weeks without it, you start to lose muscle mass. So I did some research and I found a local yoga studio that has yoga and Pilates classes. So I've been trying to go to those classes twice a week, and those classes are pretty intense. They're not kind of the middle-aged women yoga classes I take at my home gym. They're full of 20-somethings. So it's a pretty good workout, and it's also a nice opportunity to learn a little bit more Spanish, because the classes are either in Spanish or bilingual. So either way, I'm getting a little more of exposure to Spanish in a new way.
Yeah, I would never do this, but neither would most people visiting here short term, right? And again, that's fine, right? You can come here, you can eat what you want, but know that eating healthy is possible here if you want to or need to for health reasons, right? And it's because of the variety and size and cosmopolitan nature of the city, right? It's just incredible how much stuff is here. And even if you aren't a gym diehard, and I definitely am not, you can exercise here or not, right? Just walking at this altitude raises your heart rate. I still see that, we'll walk and my Fitbit will give me a little notification. So whatever you choose to do, it's all good, right? You do what you need to do or want to do, but just know that you can come here and be healthy. You don't have to eat tortillas and
no, and it's not hard. It's easy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, right. It's not right. It's not like I'm suffering, right?
No.
Yeah. So we hope this makes sense. We'll be back soon with another video. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Bye.